When you were a kid, did you ever imagine a person or creature running alongside your car? Were they scaling obstacles, collecting items, or swimming in the sky? What happened when the car or bus stopped? Did they disappear? Did they die? Today, I want to figure out what runalongs are and why this daydream is so common. You need 2 ingredients to capture a runalong. You need to be passively riding in a moving vehicle, not driving, and you need boredom. Some things that can help you get into the bored headspace are listening to the radio, hazy eyesight, wandering thoughts, no phones, solitude, and a good window. Recently, Blackwood Gallery invited me to lead a bus tour. I decided to create the optimal experience for participants to find their runalongs. I conducted multiple activities to get my audience bored in different ways. We did small zoning out exercises to warm up and let our minds wander. The last exercise is what I call the blah 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 teacher talking game. This is when a person is yapping and you let your mind wander. I was that person yapping. I encouraged participants to zone out. I orated my research on runalongs and the human pursuit to understand what thoughts look like. We found runalongs and then we let them go. I want you to get bored. But first, let me introduce my puppets. They are Sonic the Hedgehog puppets I made inspired by the drawings of my students. I teach comic book classes to kids. In every single one of my classes, there will be a student who draws Sonic, sometimes multiple students. I never let my students borrow my phone to use them as a reference. That's a rookie move, trust me. I've been teaching kids for over 10 years. Every student will want to use your phone. Because my students aren't allowed to use a reference, they make the strangest drawings based on what they remember Sonic looking like. What is the connection between Sonic and runalongs? Sonic is a very common runalong and was mine when I was a kid. I grew up playing the original Sonic on the Sega console. Sonic runs really fast. The frame of your car window looks like the frame of a platformer game, like Sonic's. I also think that runalongs have some connection to modern society. You need to be moving at a particular speed to picture a runalong. You wouldn't picture one in a slow-moving carriage in the countryside. You also need to be passive in a vehicle. You wouldn't imagine a runalong while you're running because you are the runalong. The highway is where most runalongs live. That's because highways are ugly, uniform, and have repeating visuals like lampposts. Your brain will an imaginary friend into existence to simply cure your boredom. I spent a lot of time looking for peer-reviewed articles on runalongs. The term can only be found on sparse memes on the internet. I wanted to be scientific and academic and get to the bottom of this, so I looked up keywords like imaginary friends on Google Scholar. I mostly only found articles of psychiatrists being like, it's very good for your child's development that they have imaginary friends, and it's very normal. I then, unfortunately, turned to YouTube, and I only found videos of adults telling creepypasta stories about imaginary friends. Most of them were like, one time this kid had an imaginary friend, and the kid refused to go to church. Her parents asked her why she didn't want to go to church, and she replied, my imaginary friend said they can't go there.
Every culture has entities that tether to the young. We call them imaginary friends. You are always playing with your imaginary friend.
At this point, I felt like I hit a dead end. Nobody cares about runalongs besides in a throwaway meme or joke. I finally found my lead while looking through old scanned newspapers online. This isn't the kind of information I wanted to present to you. I wanted to bring you science. We don't always choose what's most relevant to us. I bring to you the fantastic and colorful pseudoscience about what thoughts look like and why runalongs exist. We will get into medieval alchemical writings, demonology, religious mythology, and thought forms. While looking at old news clippings, I kept coming across excerpts of a 1905 occult book called Thought Forms, A Record of Clairvoyant Investigation by Annie Besant and C.W. Leadbeater. This is a book that tries to prove that thoughts have colors and shapes. These are the 3 principles of thought forms. 1. The quality of thought determines color. 2. The nature of thought determines form. 3. The definiteness of thought determines clearness of outline. Annie Besant, who was a theosophical thought leader and women's rights activist, believed that all religions, past and present, are based on a single universal truth. Seems like a pretty commonplace theory you would hear in a first-year university debate. A lot of writings from the Theosophical Society are now baked into modern culture, like the idea of astral projection. In 1905, things were majorly changing with new understandings of biology, physics, chemistry, and psychiatry. We began to recognize that certain aspects of reality existed beyond sensory perception. It made sense that people were trying to understand what thoughts looked like outside of ideas rooted in traditional religion. This theosophical book has been credited with inspiring abstract expressionism. You may be thinking, anyone can cover a canvas with colorful circles. Oh yeah? Are you a man from 1905 who's obsessed with his female theosophical guru? Did you just learn that insects can carry microscopic disease? That different parts of your brain control thoughts and memories? I didn't think so. Moving on, we can't talk about thought forms and runalongs without talking about tulpas. The idea of tulpas, which originated in Tibetan Buddhism, was the idea that thought forms can materialize in real life. They usually take on the form of a human to the person perceiving them. They're created by spiritual practice and intense concentration. Practitioners are called tulpamancers. It's a willed imaginary friend that is sentient and autonomous. It originally gained popularity online because adult My Little Pony fans were creating tulpa ponies. On Reddit, there are many self-described tulpamancers.
All my favorite never foods: yams, mammy apples, and bananas.
One time a friend was telling us a story about a boy not texting her back. The other friend replied flatly, "You should text him that you're pregnant." She then looked at me and said, "That's chaos magic." This is a very dangerous magic form. We shouldn't even really be talking about it. I'm certainly not qualified to. I'll talk as vaguely as I can to deter you from using it. Chaos magic is sentient symbols and sigils created by a magician. The magicians call what's created servitors. They aren't visible. They are in the air as thoughts and intentions. Powerful servitors can perform tasks. A magician can create servitors from parts of their personality. Sometimes they can create a servitor from a negative aspect of their psyche and interact with these traits as personal demons. If they are skilled enough, they can bind and banish these demons to remove them from their psyche. I think it's time we talk about 𝗣𝘁𝘁𝗏, the based god. In 2011, NBA player Kevin Durant tweeted that he didn't see what the fuss around rapper Lil B was all about. Lil B responded by cursing Kevin Durant that he would never win the NBA championship. After this, Kevin Durant started having terrible luck in the NBA. The curse had been rescinded in 2012, but then reinstated in 2014. In 2014, Lil B released a diss track called Fuck KD on YouTube, which, in my opinion, cemented the curse. Singing is a very powerful tool for magic. This was chaos magic. The thing is, chaos magic is very dangerous. It's very hard to reverse a curse. Lil B also went on to curse NBA player James Harden, then on live air lifted the curse. But was it really effective? Does he even have that power?
Lil B, is Harden still cursed by the base god?
You know, I actually lifted the curse off Harden.
Okay.
I had to ask the base guy. With me, it was, once I seen all the trials and tribulations that Harden was going through after this finals from the curse warning, I felt a little bad, you know, plus...
We live among magicians, and all I can do is keep my head down and talk about runalongs. Homunculi, mandrakes, and golems are all artificial life created by alchemy, spiritualism, or magic. Instead of creating a thought form with your mind, there's a lot of folklore about physically creating a creature using rituals. A golem is an anthropomorphic creature made with clay or mud by a rabbi. The metaphor of the golem in folklore is very elastic. They can be any gender and can represent a defender, villain, or a friend. In some stories, the golem has 3 Hebrew letters written on its forehead, spelling emet, which means truth. If you remove the aleph, it will spell death. This is how you destroy a golem. Homunculi is synthetic life created by alchemy. The most famous example is Victor Frankenstein. The very first mention of the word homunculus can be found in the alchemical writings of 𝗣𝘁𝗿𝗍𝗄. It's sort of a recipe. That the sperm of a man be putrefied by itself in a sealed 𝗣𝘁𝗿𝗄𝗏, which is like a gourd, for 40 days with the highest degree of putrefaction in a horse's womb. Venter equinis, meaning warm fermenting horse dung, or at least so long as it comes to life and moves itself and stirs, which is easily observed. After this time, it will look somewhat like a man, but transparent without a body. If after this it be fed wisely with the arcanum of human blood, and be nourished for up to 40 weeks, and be kept in the even heat of the horse's womb, a living human child grows therefrom, with all of its members like another child which is born of a woman, but much smaller. So we've made a best friend out of clay, and we've made a man out of sperm put into a gourd put into the womb of a horse. But what about thoughts and beings that we have no control of and we didn't summon? Runalongs are not willed by conscious thought. They happen incidentally due to boredom. Now we're going to get into the Finnish folklore of the Etiäinen. They are the double image, spirit, or doppelganger of a person. They're an impression of you that does things ahead of you.
You're not a voice, you're just a ringing in my ear.
If you were going to open a cupboard and get a glass of water, they did that 3 hours ago. The feeling of having an Etiäinen is often described as feeling like something is about to happen. I feel like this is the closest we've gotten to a run-along because they are literally running ahead of you or alongside you, and we don't control them. Many people believe that this feeling occurs because when you are anticipating something like a person coming home, all sound is augmented and full of meaning. Branches tapping on the window might sound like a person's footsteps. Here is a very good Etiäinen song. Sometimes thought forms unconsciously tell us about what we deeply desire. My friend Annie Riga taught me and my friends how to sing a very haunting Greek children's song called the Well Song. It's about a boy who looks down a well and sees an old lady trapped. He wants to help, so he reaches down to help her. Something happens as he reaches down to grasp her hand. The world turns upside down and the roles are reversed. He's at the bottom of the well looking up. I think it's about seeing a vision of yourself in the future and trying to run from age. Or maybe about the unity of the young and old and that we need each other. Whether we are boredly looking out the window, down a well, or creating a friend out of mud and clay, we are playing in our mind palace. We are fantasizing about our crushes, warring with our enemies, and pleading to be beautiful and relevant for eternity, all in our mind, all day. Our runalongs and imaginary friends are keeping us company in our agony, anticipation, and boredom.